Welcome back. Buffalo Central Terminal has been an East Side landmark since day one, and one of the iconic features of it has always been its buffalo. As Base Pete Galliman tells us in today's Unknown Story, the buffalo still exists in two forms and in two locations.
The Central Terminal, a towering monument to the days of a bustling Queen City, the days where everyone knew what it meant to meet me at the Buffalo.
It's a slogan that goes back to 1929 when New York Central put an icon of the city on the main concourse of Central Terminal.
This Buffalo, a loaner piece from the Museum of Science. Their motive was marketing, hoping to attract a few of the thousands traveling from New York City to the Windy City for the 1933 Chicago World's Fair. As the decades changed, so too did the importance of the buffalo, nicknamed Stuffy. When the United States entered World War II, Central Terminal was the main point of departure for local boys headed off to war, and Stuffy, well, he was one last touchstone of home.
The concourse was made for 3,200 people an hour, so you had a lot of people coming through here, and just seeing the buffalo with all veterans leaving, coming home, things like that, it meant something to a lot of people.
Servicemen on their way to serve in the war would actually sort of pet him or kiss him or take a little bit of his hair.
By the end of World War II, he was a little rough looking.
And so in 1945, they decided after 6 years it was time for him to come home.
But New York Central made sure travelers would still be able to meet at the Buffalo.
So they immediately, had a cast buffalo made.
And for years, this bronze bison stood watch, even after the last trains left the station and the terminal fell into disrepair. That is, until a salvage crew removing lights bumped the buffalo, knocking it over. And as it smashed on the floor, they realized it wasn't bronze at all. It was made of plaster and paper mache. And so as another decade turned, for the first time in 60 years, the Central Terminal was without its iconic buffalo. I know what you're wondering. What about the original Stuffy? Whatever happened to him? Is he still around? Yes, he is, right here at his original home, the Buffalo Science Museum. That's right, Stuffy greets visitors each and every day here in the main concourse of the Science Museum, most with no idea of his storied past. But he's not the only link to that past. The University at Buffalo, in the early 90s, obtained pieces of the original molds used by sculptor G.H. Mesmore. They raised more than $100,000 and had a bronze reproduction of the famous Central Terminal buffalo made. That buffalo stands proudly today outside of Alumni Arena.
It became, sort of like pseudo-Stuffy.
So today we have two versions of Stuffy, two paths that traveled back nearly 90 years, meeting at the crossroads of the unknown stories of Western New York.